Sunny Hostin goes on The View and decides now would be a great time to dump all over the so-called uneducated.
What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men, actually, voting more for him. And you have, and black men was not the story. We're not the story here because they voted almost 80% for the vice president.
I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Never.
I'm sorry. And I have to say, even the conservative media is warning about the price Americans are going to pay for this.
The View is in chaos once again, but this time the backlash isn't just from critics. Even their own audience is pushing back. So what's got Whoopi, Sunny, and the rest of the panel in a full-blown frenzy? Donald Trump's latest tariff proposal. The fiery debate erupted the moment the topic hit the table. Voices clashed, tensions flared, and what started as a routine discussion quickly spiraled into an on-air meltdown. But here's the twist. This time, it's not just conservatives calling out The View. Even longtime viewers are voicing their frustration, accusing the panel of bias, exaggeration, and outright misinformation. Has The View finally pushed too far? Or is this just another battle in their ongoing war with Trump and his policies? One thing's for sure, this controversy is only heating up. What do you think? Is The View out of touch, or are they just telling it like it is? Drop your thoughts below and join the debate.
The president will be implementing tomorrow a 25% tariffs on Mexico, 25% tariffs on Canada, and a 10% tariff on China for the illegal fentanyl that they have sourced and allowed to distribute into our country, which has killed tens of millions of Americans. These are promises made and promises kept.
Whether you admire him or despise him, one thing is undeniable. Trump knows how to shake things up. His latest push for new tariffs sent The View into a full-scale frenzy, with the hosts pulling out every argument in the book. They called it reckless, catastrophic, and even a threat to the very fabric of America. But then, things took an unexpected twist. While passionately tearing into Trump's trade policies, Sunny Hostin accidentally made a compelling case for none other than Robert F. Kennedy Jr. The moment was subtle, but didn't go unnoticed. And let's just say the audience's reaction was anything but enthusiastic. A simple discussion on tariffs suddenly turned into a political minefield, leaving The View in a position they likely never intended. So was this just a slip of the tongue, or is there a deeper shift happening beneath the surface? One thing's for sure, the drama isn't over yet.
You can talk about making American and building American, but that also requires that we make big changes as to how we do things.
Maybe R.F. Kennedy Jr. can fix
If
that.
there's one thing you can always count on from The View, it's Ana Navarro making every debate about herself. And this time was no different. Instead of focusing on the actual economic effects of Trump's proposed tariffs on American businesses and consumers, she took a sharp detour, straight into personal territory. Rather than analyzing how these tariffs could reshape trade and impact industries, Ana turned the conversation into a dramatic monologue about her margarita nights. Yes, you heard that right. She went on a rant about how rising tequila prices would be disastrous, framing it as nothing short of a cultural crisis. And just like that, a discussion on trade policy spiraled into an emotional argument, with Ana insisting that the tariffs weren't just about economics. They were a direct attack on Mexico, its people, and their hardworking traditions.
As if revoking temporary protective status for 500,000 Venezuelans wasn't enough. As if bullying Panama wasn't enough. Now he's going to tax our tequila and avocados?
Yeah.
Let's zoom out for a second. If Trump is pushing tariffs to create a fairer playing field for American manufacturers, isn't that the real conversation we should be having? But no. According to Ana, the real crisis isn't trade imbalances or economic policy. It's the possibility of her cocktail bill going up. Seriously? She's more concerned about the price of her fancy margarita than the impact of global trade. You can't make this up. If Ana truly cared about the well-being of workers in Mexico, wouldn't she be advocating for stronger trade policies that promote fair wages and better working conditions? Instead, her message is loud and clear. Forget the economy, save the tequila. And if you thought that was ridiculous, just wait until you hear what Sunny had to say next.
I think that what people fail to realize, many people, is how interconnected our economies are. You know, they're like, America first, America first. Let's make everything here. Let's do everything here. Let's be very insulated. And that sounds good. It sounds patriotic, but we are geopolitically connected to the rest of the world. We don't want to be isolated from everyone else.
Every time a political debate heats up, Sunny Hostin never misses the chance to remind everyone of her credentials. Lawyer, journalist, and intellectual powerhouse. But let's be honest, fancy degrees don't always guarantee common sense. Case in point, when the discussion turned to tariffs, Sunny dove headfirst into a lengthy breakdown, determined to sound like an expert. But somewhere in her lecture, she unleashed one of the most baffling examples yet, claiming that if Trump slapped a 25% tariff on imports, a $5 cup of coffee would magically double in price to $10. Wait, what? Even the most basic math says otherwise, but that didn't stop her from delivering the statement with full confidence. It was a moment that left viewers scratching their heads, wondering if Sunny's expertise was all talk, or if she just had an exceptionally expensive taste in coffee.
You have a coffee store, and you're going to sell a cup of coffee, and your coffee is $5. We know how expensive coffee is, right? Yeah. You sell coffee for $5. Now the coffee beans coming in from Mexico are now $5 more. You think if I own that shop, I'm going to eat that $5? No. Your cup of coffee just costs $10. Well, and that's the deal.
If Sunny's math blunder wasn't embarrassing enough, what happened next sent The View into absolute chaos. In the middle of her fiery rant against Trump, she pivoted to America's crumbling food industry, calling out failing regulations, corporate greed, and the rising health crisis. But then, in a moment of unscripted honesty, she said something no one saw coming. Without thinking, she blurted out that maybe, just maybe, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. had a point about fixing the food system. Yes, the Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the same man the media has spent months branding as a dangerous conspiracy theorist. And just like that, the energy in the studio shifted. You know how The View's audience usually erupts into applause at every anti-Trump soundbite? Not this time. Instead, dead silence, a few audible gasps, even some scattered boos. It was like a system malfunction, a glitch in The View's well-oiled machine. The crowd, so used to nodding along, suddenly looked confused. Wait, RFK Jr. can't be right about something, can he? You could see the exact moment Sunny realized she had just crossed an invisible line. Her expression shifted from confidence to sheer panic, like she had violated some unspoken rule of daytime TV. And that's when the real damage control began. Before the moment could spiral completely out of control, Whoopi Goldberg knew she had to step in, and fast.
You can talk about making American and building American, but that also requires that we make big changes as to how we do things.
Maybe RF Kennedy Jr.
If you've ever watched Whoopi Goldberg on The View, you know she loves to drop what she believes are deep, thought-provoking insights. The problem, they often make little to no sense, and this time was no different. Whoopi went off on a bizarre rant, claiming that America is actually the villain when it comes to global trade. According to her, pushing for fair trade deals isn't just negotiation, it's bullying. In Whoopi's world, the US is always the taker, and anytime we demand better terms, it's just proof of our selfishness. Classic Whoopi logic. America advocating for fair trade, bad foreign countries exploiting U.S. markets, totally fine. China manipulating global prices, not a big deal. But Trump trying to fix it, now that's a problem. But Whoopi wasn't the only one scrambling to justify this logic. Enter Alyssa Farah Griffin, the so-called conservative voice on The View. If you've ever listened to her, you know she leans about as conservative as a trendy coffee shop's mission statement. Rather than pushing back on Whoopi's take, Alyssa rolled out the classic America will lose its global standing argument. She warned that if we push back on bad trade deals, China will swoop in and take control. In her version of reality, the US has just two choices: either continue getting ripped off by foreign markets or hand global power over to China. No middle ground, no strategy, just another day of manufactured outrage and empty rhetoric on The View.
You know, the American people are not wallets. They are hardworking people. This is their money. And if you're making it hard for them to eat, when you said you were going to fix it, it's really annoying.
So let's get this straight. Fixing disastrous trade deals somehow makes America weaker, but letting foreign countries take advantage of us makes us stronger. Someone make that make sense. But let's take a step back, because what happened on The View wasn't just another cringeworthy daytime TV moment. It exposed something much bigger. These hosts love to brand themselves as champions of the people, always claiming to fight for working class Americans, struggling families, and fairness in the economy. They preach about corporate greed and standing up for the little guy, but the moment someone mentioned a real solution, one that didn't fit their narrative, panic set in. Why? Because it came from the wrong person. Think about it. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has raised some serious concerns. Why is our food packed with chemicals that other countries have banned? Why do lobbyists hold so much power over health policy and trade deals? You'd think a group that calls itself progressive would at least be open to discussing these issues. Nope. The second Sonny even hinted at agreeing with RFK Jr., the whole show went into meltdown mode. This wasn't about debating ideas, it was about controlling who's allowed to have an opinion. And here's where things got really interesting. For once, The View's audience didn't just follow the usual script. Normally, it's predictable. The producers flash an applause sign, the crowd cheers on cue, someone drops a dramatic anti-Trump line, and the studio erupts. But this time, hesitation, then boos. That's a sign people are waking up. Even The View's most loyal mainstream media following audience couldn't fake their way through this one, because deep down they knew exactly what had just happened. Sonny said the quiet part out loud, and the moment those words left her mouth, damage control mode kicked in. Whoopi tried to pivot, Alyssa threw in some standard globalist talking points, but nothing could erase the reality of what had just unfolded. This segment was supposed to be another round of predictable political theater. Instead, it exposed their own hypocrisy. So, what do you think? Is The View finally losing control over its audience? Are people starting to see through the act? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to follow for more updates, because this conversation is far from over.